Good evening from our main studios on MDI Road in Kanifing. It's 8 p.m. in Banjul. You're watching GRTS News with me, WINIFRED NICOL. First, our top stories. Samba Baji takes charge as new Deputy Ombudsman of the Islamic Republic of the Gambia. Members of a little-known ethnic group, the Bajol, retrace their ancestry as they battle to preserve what is left of their fading cultures in the face of increasing globalization. A look at why Barack Obama is headed for Riyadh amid enormous tensions between two strategic partners. And a defiant Dilma Rousseff fights back as plans to impeach her gather momentum. "I will fight as I ever done in my life," she said during a nationwide address. Well, these and other stories coming ahead in this half hour. A new Deputy Ombudsman has been named. He is Samba Baji. The senior ombudsman was officially sworn in at a brief ceremony presided over by Vice President Jai Sedi. Samuel Barr reports on that ceremony attended by cabinet ministers and senior government officials.
By the head of state as Deputy Ombudsman, Samba Baji has been officially sworn in as required by law.
I, Samba Baji, do swear that I will execute the functions of the office of Deputy Ombudsman without fear or favor, affection or ill will, according to the Constitution and other laws of the Gambia. So help me God.
The newly sworn-in Deputy Ombudsman said he was deeply honored by the appointment and pledges to live up to the task.
I know the work of an ombudsman is not an easy task. That has to be done by someone. And it so happened to be that I am part of the team that has to carry out that Herculean task. I want to say a very big thank you to the President of the Republic of the Gambia, Sir Professor Dr. Alhaji Yahya AJJ Jammeh, for the trust and confidence he has in me for the appointment.
The Ombudsman, who has worked briefly with Samba Baji, attested to his hard work, brilliance, and diligence, describing him as a dependable and a good team player.
So together with my other deputy, Mr. Nyang, we will be able to execute the functions of the institution to achieve our objectives. It is not an easy task, it's a very challenging task. It is a task that requires dedication, commitment, sincerity, and above all, honesty. And I have seen those virtues in him.
Foreign Minister Nene Magdol-Gay, on behalf of her cabinet colleagues, wished Samba well and also offered some pieces of advice.
It is a very important office, and we want to thank all of you for all the work that you've been doing since the establishment of the Office of the Ombudsman. We will continue to pray for you and to support you in this very important task and in this very noble task.
Vice President Jai Sedi assured the new Deputy Ombudsman that government will give him the much-needed support to execute his functions. Madam Jai Sedi urged him to keep up the good work as attested to by the previous speakers.
I have every confidence that you'll be a good team player like the Ombudsman has rightly alluded to. So I think we will give you advice, but very little advice, because already your reputation shows it. But we just want to encourage you to keep up the good work as expected of this country, expected of the Gambian people, because here you are representing Gambian people. As expected of His Excellency the President, who endorsed your appointment because of the recommendation we got. Of course, as expected by the rest of the team out there, and expected, most of all, by public servants. Because most of the complaints that go to the Office of the Ombudsman are either from the civil service, parastatals, or other people. In fact, the Ombudsman can serve anybody. It's a complaints commission. You can serve even the private sector if they have issues.
Samba Baji is the latest addition to the team of experienced professionals at the Office of the Ombudsman, whose task it is to bring justice and fair play between people. Samuel Ba, GRTS.
The Public Accounts and Public Enterprises Committee of the National Assembly Monday adopted the 2014 audited report and financial statement of the National Agency for Legal Aid. The report was subjected to thorough scrutiny by PAC-PEC members, seeking clarity on a number of issues in the agency's report. GRTS's Ibrahim Ajalo was listening to proceedings and he filed in this report.
Officials of the National Agency for Legal Aid, NALA, Monday faced members of the PAC-PEC for ratification and adoption of the agency's 2014 audited report and financial transactions. The Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Fatou Mbaye, was the first to engage the NALA officials, highlighting concern on what she refers to as simplistic financial lapses due to incomplete record of the agency's spending.
Petty cash, details of petty cash not recorded in a petty cash book. Fuel coupon stub not submitted for verification. And it makes me wonder whether, these simplistic lapses were because of inefficiency or carelessness.
NALA's chairperson, Justice Awaba, replied, registering apologies for the financial lapses observed in the report. She, however, admitted that the issue was due to lack of capacity.
We are trying to put our house in order. We intend to capacitate the accounts unit with the requisite number of staffs so that such simple lapses do not occur again. We do apologize for that.
The member for Banjul Central, Honorable Abdullah Sen, commended NALA for a progressive procurement compliance, which according to GPPA stood at 76%. Sen went on questioning the availability of an updated payroll of the agency.
As a committee, we always demand a comprehensive payroll from institutions. And you haven't submitted a payroll. So we are demanding for you to submit a comprehensive payroll.
Coming back to the agency's financial transactions, Honorable Lamin K. Jame asked for the possibilities of restoring a 1/6 loan granted to an ex-staff. The agency's accountant, Ibrahim Kujabi, responded to this question.
Under the receipts column, we have sundry receipts, which if you go to page 9, you have an explanation stating it's an outstanding 1/6, an ex-staff of 4,167. An ex-staff outstanding cannot be a receipt. I want to believe that anything under the receipts column is already received by NALA. Equally, 1/6 of $76,100 is also on the receipt column. I want to know whether these monies have been paid back to NALA after they have been given to staff.
This staff was an ex-staff who has actually left. So we are not able to deduct directly from his payroll, from his salary. And we had to follow up and make a recovery of this amount. And that was why this amount was paid directly to the account of this 4,160.
The Combo Central representative, Buba Sane, focused on the agency's sensitization work for prison inmates and prison officers, asking how often it does so. The response from NALA officials was satisfactory in this regard. The session presided over by the majority leader and member for Serekunda is Fabakai Tomonjata, finally agreed to adopt NALA's report and did just that. Ibrahim Jallo, GRTS News.
Can a lost culture and tradition be rejuvenated in this era of globalization, where people, especially the young, are exposed to virtually everything on the internet? Well, Buba SMCC followed the recent trip embarked upon by the Bajol, a subgroup of Manjago ethnic group, back to the land to their forefathers in their attempt to revive their culture and tradition.
The trip, according to the participants, had availed them the opportunity to visit and pay homage to the land of their forebearers. This spiritual journey by the little-known Jolinkes stems from their determination to unearth their cultural identity. Joli is their ancestral home located in modern-day Republic of Guinea-Bissau. They received a rousing welcome amid singing and dancing. The trip brought to the fore many things, among them integration of diverse cultures in the sub-region, which can better be described as cultural diplomacy, capable of forging links between them and other ethnic groups within the greater Senegambia region. People travel from afar to grace this real-life mega-cultural manifestation with a common purpose of reviving their lost cultural identity. The chief custodian of Bajual culture and tradition is Kejan Sedi. He underscored the importance of culture while encouraging his people to treasure their culture for posterity. Sedi was actively involved in all the activities and eventually inspired his people, especially the youths. The event also witnessed the initiation ceremony to manhood and rites of passage, which was preceded by pouring of a libation as a gift to God. It is being described by many as a worthy cause.
Today is my first time to know such a culture like this.
Okay.
I have never seen, as you see everybody in black and white, the mode of dress of circumcised men. This is how they dress.
Okay. I'm very happy and it's very interesting. I've never witnessed this and this is my first time. Okay. Yeah. So I'm very, very happy.
The colonialists drew boundaries to serve their interests and lightly without regard to the territorial claims or jurisdictions of indigenous people. But those age-old boundaries have become meaningless as communities continue to retrace their heritage through regular festivals and cross-border associations. The Director of Literature and Performing Arts at National Center for Arts and Culture, NCAC, Sheikh Omar Jallo, shed light on this assertion.
They just concluded their festival in Guinea-Bissau this year, and the festival was a highlight in the sense that the first time they're starting to come together. All the Jolinkes, whether in Senegal or in Bissau or in Gambia or in Conakry, they all came together in Joli and then have a week-long festival, which is very paramount. And then their history actually revolves around when the Jolinkes started, expanding. That is pretty around the colonial period, when the colonialists decided to partition, they scrambled for Africa. So they decided to cut Joli, because part of Joli is in Guinea-Bissau, and then another part of Joli is still in Senegal.
Per Sedi is the president of Bajual Association in Senegal. He applauded the chief custodian for his proactive role in the successful organization of the convergence, and by extension his brothers and sisters from the sister republic of the Gambia, under the energetic leadership of Omar Malak. The association has adequately spread its concept of cultural consciousness to recognition, both far and near, something applauded by the NCAC.
Cultural integration is very paramount. The Joli Association, we have already filed together a project for endangered languages. They are considered or classified under the endangered language. So endangered languages are languages that are on the verge of extinction. As a result, we are trying to mobilize some of them so as they can showcase and we can preserve some of their cultural heritages so that they can stay here for posterity.
Ujual is the language of the Bajual. It's been translated into French and English. The author is Kemo Sedi. The current enthusiasm of and desire to rejuvenate their cultural identity is very unprecedented, as their rich culture and tradition are on the verge of extinction. Cognizant of the fact that once they come together as a people with common purpose and good, the strive to rejuvenate their fading culture is undoubtedly assured and can irrevocably change for the better. Seemingly, this is growing both within and without in terms of membership. Buba SMCC, GRTS.
From that story on the Bajol to the documented story of another Asian settlement and people, the history of Sukuta Sabiji has been documented in a book entitled The Cultural History of Sukuta Sabiji, co-authored by two natives of the community, Usman Mohamed Cham and Usman Mamake Bojang. As we hear in this report by Ibrahim Jallo, the literary work was formally launched Saturday at the Sukuta School Hall.
One of the oldest communities in the Combos, founded mainly by the Cham and Bojang families, whose ancestors reportedly had a bitter encounter with the white colonialists as they were poised to protect their culture, tradition and religion. The book entitled Cultural History of Sukuta Sabiji was necessitated by the need to protect the rich history of Sukur Sabiji and to remember the heroes and heroines of the community. The 164-page book encompasses both the past and present times history of socio-cultural, political, economic and religious history of the village. The co-authors Usman Mohamed Cham and Usman Mohamed K. Bojang highlighted some challenges in their quest to gather factual information from credible sources during the writing process.
The review today is a product of research we started in November 2012. To come up with a comprehensive document of this kind, we very much relied on oral sources, which equally difficult to piece together different versions of a single event by eliminating the emotions of it. But determined as we were not deterred by these challenges to be able to produce a coherent story of the great history of Buddha Sabiji with its noble objectives.
The book is said to have both historical and academic importance, and this was acknowledged by the permanent secretaries of both higher and secondary education, Dr. Charan Umar Bari and Babakar Boy, respectively.
There are several reasons why I wish to laud the efforts of these authors. Reason number one, our history has always been written by non-nationals and therefore very prejudicial and stereotyping. From the eye of the non-national, our cultures, even where they are richly documented by experts or expert researchers, and I would like to name one, David Gamble, their interpretations of the cultural interrelations within a richly diversified cultural environment has not adequately been reflected in their works.
Mr. Cham and Boja have demonstrated a high degree of professionalism in authoring such a book, free from citation or plagiarism. They have quoted rightly, referred to the right documents to substantiate their worthy endeavor in writing such a book. They therefore did not only write for the sake of writing, but to prove wrong the likes of Marco Polo, therein Picasso, Joseph Conrad, and many other colonial masters who had taken it upon themselves.
Hassan Sise of the National Center for Arts and Culture reviewed the book and expressed satisfaction with the work done by the authors. He described the book as a piece of capital, saying it does not only tell history, but equally enrich the National Museum.
In this book, there is no hearsay, there is no rumor, there is no guesswork. Only historical facts. Now, another strong point of the book is that the authors have written with great passion, with a good detachment and objectivity. They belong to the community and so could have highlighted the deeds of their own families and ignored the achievements of other families.
Then came the launching proper, presided over by Ami Ben Suda, a senior legal practitioner who also has a strong historical connection with the village. The legal expert further stated that Gambian history is limited to what is learned in school, noting that this book has gone beyond that.
I believe her reactions are an indication of the reactions to be expected of all those who will have the privilege of reading this book or having it read to them, particularly those of us who live in the Congos. For many of us, Gambian history is limited to what we learn in school. It is a subject to be passed, and as such, it is remote from the realities of our daily existence.
The book, selling at $500 per copy, is expected to serve as a learning material for the present and future generation of the village and beyond. Ibrahima Jallo, GRTS News.
The General Secretariat of the Organization of the Islamic Cooperation has released a media statement in which the organization welcomed the sentence issued by the International Criminal Tribunal against the former Bosnian Serb warlord Radovan Karadzic. General Karadzic, one of the key architects of the mass killings of Muslims in the former Yugoslavia, has been sentenced to 40 years in prison. The OIC General Secretariat, the release adds, views the judgment as an important step that would reduce judicial impunity and achieve justice for Bosnian Muslims and other victims of genocide and war crimes. It also expressed hope that other war criminals in the former Yugoslavia would be arrested and brought to justice. The OIC, the release went on, hopes that this trial will bring to a close a long chapter in the history of the region and launch a new era of lasting reconciliation, peaceful coexistence, peace and security for the people of the Balkans, it ends. The United Nations World Food Programme and the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education are strategizing for a sustainable future for the newly introduced nationally owned homegrown school feeding program. Louis Mendy has more on the 3-day seminar dubbed Training on School Meals Investment Case Analysia.
This capacity building for actors in the implementation of a nationally owned homegrown school feeding program is the latest champion by the United Nations World Food Programme Country Office and the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education.
The 3 days training will be an opportunity to learn and develop our capacities on the relevance of evaluating the cost of school meals and if investment is to be made. I am happy to note that the Gambia is already engaged in data collection for the evaluation.
Madam Ginger is confident the training will bring forth new insights on how they can all contribute to harmonizing efforts to make school meals a viable investment for donors and other development partners, including the private sector. Hence the theme, Training on School Meals Investment Case Analysis.
Both the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education and the World Food Programme consider it relevant to familiarize ourselves with the tool, to ensure common understanding of the tool, discuss challenges, and also to harmonize views to facilitate an effective way of the analysis of the results.
Tutors for the 3-day seminar include the staff of the World Food Programme Center of Excellence Against Hunger in Brazil.
I'm here, and Wolfgang is here also, to support you on this activity that you are already carrying on, which is this cost assessment, all this study that the university has been doing. One of the main objectives here is to present you and let you very insight on what's this methodology. Probably most of you already know it, but to understand how does it work, why do we want to do this, what is it for, and how this can be useful for us.
They are expected to share best practices with their Gambian partners on social protection interventions and other technical assistance in the implementation of homegrown school meals.
This training, ladies and gentlemen, will not have come at a better time, since the school meals program in the country is undergoing a cost assessment by the university to establish a long-term running of the program and its benefits is created.
Homegrown school meals represent a huge market that can support farmers and small businesses with a specific focus on those run by women. Relying on locally sourced food commodities contributes to the sustainability of school meal programs and increases the chance for ownership by government. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
We will be back with news from outside the Gambia after this break. Stay tuned.
Into your GT Bank account today and stand a chance to win fabulous prizes in July and October and at the end of the year. Maintain $10,000 to $50,000 balance in your GT Bank account for 3 months and stand a chance to be among 10 winners of 2 bags of rice, 1 gallon of vegetable oil, and 1 bag of onions in July and in October. And if you maintain more than $50,000 balance in your GT Bank account for 3 months, you could be among 3 winners of a fridge freezer, a 32-inch LED television, or a smartphone in July and in October. And even better, maintain a balance of $500,000 or more into your GT Bank account and stand the chance to win one of our 3 grand prizes at the end of the year. First prize is a brand new Hyundai Accent car. Second prize is a return ticket to Dubai for 1 plus pocket money of $2,000. And the third prize is a complete luxury sitting room sofa set. Terms and conditions apply. GT Bank, wouldn't you rather bank with us?
The organizing
organizing committee of the International Roots Homecoming Festival, the Ministry of Tourism and Culture, the Gambia Tourism Board, the National Center for Arts and Culture, and the Gambia Tourism and Hospitality Institute brings you the 12th edition of the International Roots Festival from the 6th to the 13th May 2016. On Saturday, 7th May, is the official opening ceremony at the Arch 22 starting 3 p.m. And at 8 p.m. on 7th May is the mega musical jamboree at the Independence Stadium, headlined by your favorite Gambian artists. On Monday, 9th May, is the Roots Pilgrimage to the villages of Jufure, Albreda, and Kunta Kinte Island. And 10th May is the Futampaf, Rites of Passage at Kanilai. Wednesday, 11th May, is the official gala dinner at Senegambia Beach Hotel starting 9 p.m. This will be headlined by internationally acclaimed kora player, Gambia's very own Sona Jabati. The gala dinner will be preceded on 11th May by a symposium at 11 a.m. at Caraba Beach Hotel. The 12th International Roots Homecoming Festival, celebrating cultural diversity for unity. Sponsored by XXL. For more information, contact 796-2230 or 7777-010.
Welcome back. U.S. President Barack Obama leaves for Saudi Arabia today. When he steps off the plane, he could be stepping into a diplomatic storm. Saudi Arabia is furious over a proposal in the U.S. Congress that could expose the kingdom to lawsuits related to the September 11 attacks. While Saudi Arabia denies any connection to 9/11 and is threatening to retaliate economically if that bill passes. Mr. Obama himself opposes that legislation. CNN's Nick Robertson has more on the tense relations between the two strategic partners.
I am honored to be in the timeless city of Cairo.
2009, and just in office, President Obama came to Egypt.
We meet at a time of great tension between the United States and Muslims around the world.
Talked of reshaping U.S. relations with Mideast nations. The crowds loved him. Less than 2 years later, the same city, his host, President Mubarak, overthrown in the Arab Spring uprising. How Obama responded to the fall of his allies set the tone of his relationship with the region since.
It wasn't so much that they fell, it was so much how the U.S. went by it. And that's what really is the beginning of this schism.
A schism that grew to rupture with the U.S.-Iranian nuclear deal. The Saudis were furious.
They believe that Barack Obama has sold them at the altar of his own rapprochement with Iran, their arch enemy.
In response to all this, Saudi Arabia has ramped up its armed forces, overtaking Russia to become the world's third largest defense and security spender. And last year formed a 34-nation Sunni Muslim coalition to follow Saudi's lead.
As a result of their mistrust of Barack Obama, the Saudis now have adopted a more muscular foreign policy. They are on the attack in Yemen and other places, and they're trying to counterbalance Iran in the region. The Americans really have lost control.
Where they needed control the most, solving Syria, Saudi's new king is a very impatient ally. He wants Assad gone now and Iran's influence removed.
Is that course going to change now if there's a new president that's more amenable to Saudi interest? I don't think so. The ship has sailed.
But for all the strains, both sides still need each other. Saudi Arabia needs US weapons. Obama wants regional stability. His time in Riyadh will not be about divorce, but easing the estrangement.
And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. Samba Baji takes charge as new Deputy Ombudsman of the Islamic Republic of the Gambia. Members of a little-known ethnic group, the Bajol, retrace their ancestry as they battle to preserve what is left of their fading cultures in the face of increasing globalization. A look at why Barack Obama is headed for Riyadh amid enormous tensions between two strategic partners. And a defiant Dilma Rousseff has fought back as plans to impeach her gather momentum. "I will fight as I ever done in my life," she said during a nationwide address. Well, viewers, that was all we have for you now. Join us at 10 for more news. Until then, I'm your presenter, WINIFRED NICOL.